So yes, so welcome
You look
to.
beautiful.
Oh, you looking stunning, and you got a haircut, and I wash my hair.
Yeah.
Things
Well, it's
happen,
uneven. Look, it's uneven. It's so funny.
but that's
Oh,
because you put it onto the side.
oh, I don't know. I give up.
But did you? Are you
Yeah.
in a new space?
No, this
Oh,
is
it's
my
just
husband's office.
oh, it's your husband's office. You
Yeah.
weren't there yesterday.
You think I'm in a new space because I cut my hair.
Yeah. Can you see
Everything's
that?
different now
Everything
because
is
it's
different.
all about what I look like.
It's all about appearance. Like my mother, she never asked me how I was doing. She always asked, "Oh, you look good or you look like shit. You put weight on or you didn't put weight on."
Oh God.
Well, my dad called me up when 1 month sober. How you doing? I'm not doing very well today, Dad. Well, I'll call you on another day then. Thank you, honey. I love you too. That's what we call dysfunctional families. So that's why we're here
Oh,
today, right? That's why. So
wow.
we're all.
I'll
That's
call you on another day. That's
I will
fantastic.
never forget that. Like I think I had like 10 or 1 month or 2 months sober. And then he called up and he's like, "How's it going?" I was like, "I'm not doing very well today." He's like, "Oh, then I call you another day." No, but so we would like to say welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to
On the note of the father.
of the father not being able to cope with emotions or feelings because it's and a mother where it's all about the appearance. Right?
But that's so common. I'm just gonna say one thing before we continue. You know, my dad, he had Parkinson's, and it was excruciating to watch somebody go through that illness. But he became very emotional at the end. And maybe, it's also age.
Mm,
You get a little older and all of a sudden
mm,
you change, your heart
mm,
becomes more open and you have grandchildren and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's all about love. And
mm,
but he would cry
mm.
a lot. I would call up, it
Wow.
was a Christmas when we weren't there. Uh, and I called him and he started crying because we weren't there, you know.
Wow. That's I guess
And then when we moved to Sweden for a year to be with him because he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I remember calling him like when we were prepping to leave, and it was a complete chaos. You remember that year? It was a
yeah.
messed up year. And he was crying because he was happy. But before
Wow.
then, he was like I don't remember even having any conversations with him before I was like 20. Like I don't remember
Mhm.
interacting. I remember him picking me up at the barn, and I remember how sad he was the first time I got caught smoking hash. That's what we did in Sweden in the 80s.
Sorry, I'm laughing, but
Yeah, he was so upset and not angry. He was sad when that
he was
happened.
sad. He was sad.
It's just so interesting how people are.
But when you look at it, it's when you look at that generation of what they have downloaded and what they're coming into this world. I mean,
Mhm.
that it's. I mean, I can just see how I truly believe, at least most of all parents do their best. They do their best to really be as good as but it's really interesting how dysfunctional and by becoming more aware and working with by healing yourself, you see, the clarity you get and you see, wow, this is so sick. It's so unhealthy. But I mean, it's I know your dad, and for me, he was a lovely person, always helping, always smiling. So man, you didn't show off your feelings like that, and my dad that was in the Marine, an officer. I mean, I remember the first time I told my dad that I loved him. I think it was when I went into recovery. I think it was when I was
Yeah.
28 years old. And he have never told that he loved me. And then after that, of course, every phone call was, "I love you, I love you." But imagine, I don't think he ever told his dad that he loved him, or his dad told him that he loved him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've thought about this a lot because I've written about a lot of this stuff, because it's like
Mm.
I'm always trying to analyze what was it that led me to do the amount of drugs that I did. Like what led it,
Mm.
I mean, besides being an alcoholic and being one of those people that if I have one glass of wine, which by the way, I hated wine, but whatever liquor that I had in my concoction of liquor when I was 14, I just poured in whatever they had in the liquor cabinet and drank it. What was it that made me one of those people
Mm.
that I could never have only one? That doesn't exist, right? But besides that, what
No,
were
but
the circumstances? So
yeah,
I
but
think
what do
about,
you think? What do you think made you? Let's stop with that. Let's stop there, and I would like to dig a little deeper into that, because
yeah, but okay.
do you think that you were born with an addiction, or was it something that you developed, lack of something, or can you explain what how you see
Um,
it?
okay, I'm writing down what I was talking about so we don't, because I
Yeah,
want to
sorry
finish
about
that
to
thought later.
interrupt you
Yeah,
there,
that's,
but if not,
I
you're going to
think it's a
go.
I definitely think that for most people, it's a combination of things. I
Mm.
don't think it's like just that you have the quote gene. I don't think that that's the only thing that happens. I think that there's usually, and from my experience, I mean, again, like I've sat at like 10,000 meetings, but it's usually the circumstance in which you are too,
Mm.
or the way that you are able to handle emotions.
Mm.
So I talk to my kids about this a lot, because it's like I really try to hold space for them when they have emotions,
Mm.
because it's really easy to just go, oh, stop crying, or
Mm.
oh, like sort of like stop it, because
Don't
we
be
don't
sad.
like,
Mm.
yeah, stop it,
Mm.
but because I've learned, again, here we back to David Hawkins,
Mm.
the book that
Mm.
I read, Letting Go, This Pathway to Surrender, but that if I just am like a container to listen to them when something's going on without reacting in negative or positive way. I mean, I'm not like some sort of dummy sitting there like, oh. Like I comfort, and I listen, and I'm present, right? So that they can have the emotion can have the life that it needs to have a life within you, and then it comes up, and then it can be released. It's only
Mm.
when there is resistance from me or from one of my daughters while she's having the emotion, that it's somehow over time it gets stuck in the body.
Mm.
And the unresolved emotion, and this is like another stat, and I don't know exact numbers here, but I know that about like 15 to 20% of our brain is the part of the brain we actually know what we're thinking
Mm.
consciously, like you and I are
Mm.
talking right now.
Mm.
But the rest of the brain is subconscious and
Mm.
unconscious things. So we
Mm.
do so much from a place that we don't even know that we're doing it.
Mm.
So so that's why I've been
Can
trying
I
to
just
let.
stop you 2 seconds?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No,
Babbling
no, but I
away.
love it. But I just want to, because it's some really deep stuff, and we want everybody to, well, most of most of our listeners to follow. And I just wanted to, you named 3 things: comfort and listen, about the emotion, with just and
Mhm.
holding the space. Was that the third thing?
Uh, Presence, being present.
Present. Yeah, okay, wonderful. So it was comfort, listen, and be present. And then the other thing, to really, give space to that emotion. And as you said,
Mhm.
it needs to kind of go through its time, or pass through
Yeah,
whatever it needs to go.
I mean, I think it's David Hawkins'
Mm.
words, but your emotions have to have their own
Alive.
life
Mm.
and go through the journey that they need to go through
Yeah.
in order to have.
Transform and
Yeah,
release.
they come through us, and we have those emotions, and then they sort of subsides because they come to its end.
Mm.
It's like you have a good cry, and then at the end you get to the end.
Mm. Mm.
And
Like a
that's the thing
laugh
that,
also.
yeah, you
Mm.
laugh and you're, whatever. But so back to the addiction and how it started, right?
But we're going to come back. But I just want to
Okay.
also stop. You mentioned but you mentioned the brain of 50 to 20% of awareness, and then we have in the unconscious and the subconscious. How would you define the difference of subconsciousness and unconsciousness?
You know, I don't think that I'm like equipped to describe the difference.
Let's not play doctors or whatever, or psychologists, but you can, I mean, you mentioned the two words, and I just, you know, if someone is
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
the unconscious, this is what I understand. Both of them are places we don't really know. Like we have to go like hypnosis or, you know, for me, it's like when I meditate and maybe something's going on and I don't understand why that thing is bothering me so much. There's moments where in meditation, an image will come up of something old. And in that moment, the thing that's triggering me right now might be released, because when you're meditating, you access parts of your brain, or you allow those parts of your brain actually to come forth. And you're able to release old sort of stuck things, because you're like clearing your mind up. It's like, I always say, it's like you go home and you declutter your closet, and now you can actually see the things that you have in there. But before, it's often people with like really stuffed closets, and I'm one of those people, you know, I just don't know what's happening. I don't know what's in there. So then I'm like, oh, I'll just go buy this other thing. But I'm like, but I already have this thing, you know? So it's the same thing, like meditation and like this work of like being present, calming our minds. We are able then to see the things that are hidden from us. And that is, in the end, it's survival mechanisms. If we remember everything bad, like maybe we just wouldn't get out of bed.
No, exactly.
Because there's a lot of stuff that happens that we as humans, we just, you know, it's like, I think about Battle Boots, my horse, you know, he knows that he's afraid of a wolf, right? So, but right now in the moment, because he lives in the moment, he's not thinking about that.
No.
But then when he hears a sound,
he's
he
reacting.
reacts. So somewhere in his subconscious or unconscious, and again, I don't know exactly how to define the difference between those two, then he flies off the handle. And sometimes I can't even calm him down, actually, because he has a lot of trauma from when he was younger before I got him. So I have to bring him back to the barn, and like he has to settle in his stall because he breaks into a sweat, and it's bad. So it's so much, right? So again, if we bring it back to, okay, can I go back to the
No. Now you can come back. You know, let's just awareness, not being aware. We try to become more awake. That's what we want to.
Yeah, it's very simplified though to say, you know, you're aware, then you have to become more. I mean, I think it's not an. This is. I'm not going to say that it's not easy, but I think that like if you have a discussion about it, like we talked about, like the you know, conscious living, like how did I spend my day, and saying what is it with this thing that makes me react this way? That's awareness, right? Having the question upon oneself,
inquiring,
why is it that I do this thing? I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about the 4-step in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, that's the first time I actually was like, holy shit, it's actually me. I have a part in this thing, right? And sometimes because things are in the subconscious and the unconscious, we don't know. It takes work to figure it out, right? Okay, so when I was 14 and I started drinking, I mean, and there was never like a slow progression. It was like day one. You know, I had a flask. I stole liquor from my parents' liquor cabinet, and I mixed a bunch of shit together. It tastes like horrible. And I would black out and throw up and that kind of stuff, like right from the first day.
Or you went back and did the same thing again.
What?
But you went back like an addict, did the same thing again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Thinking of a new result.
I mean, that was when I was in ninth 8th or 9th grade. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do it on the weekdays because, I had school and I lived with my parents. Like they're not going to like,
Mm-hmm.
but on the weekends, in Sweden back then, it was normal that the kids went out with their friends and they came home late.
Yeah.
So they didn't really know. And most weekends they went to our summer house. So they weren't
Mm-hmm.
even home,
Mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to say is that there's a combination of all that unresolved emotion
Mm-hmm.
that I felt. It was puberty. I
Mm-hmm.
had a tremendous amount of anxiety because I had unresolved things. No one talked about their feelings. Like, and I've never been a person that likes to talk about my feelings anyway. So it was sort of like, it's like the Swedish thing. We just sort of move forward. But I think it was a combination of that, the unresolved feelings translating into anxiety, having the quote gene, like I can't have just one. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was sort of like, this thing of being a little lost in life.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we here? Why do we go to school?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we get up in the morning? Like there was nothing that felt to me that anything really made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Before those years, I had the barn, right? And I had the horses
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
where we both went. And that made sense to me. But
Mm.
then somehow I got bored of that, when I turned 14 and like was interested in boys and
Yeah.
like
It's we step into another, yeah,
another era. Yeah.
another era. I was just about to say another era, but I want to
Yeah.
stay with this what with this, as you just explained, like mixing, the circumstances around you, not being able to talk about the feelings, like um, being anxious, and you know, uh, because I want to. It's in one way I want to put this up into one of your in the tool and the elements. I want to put
Mm-hmm.
up this to love, because you have mentioned many times unconditional love, and we talked about love, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think if you ask your mom, that I know very well, and also your dad, and if I ask my parents, of course they would say, oh, I always express my love to you. And but what was it that we couldn't really embrace you know what I mean? Like, your parents loved you.
Oh my God,
Then
yes.
you can say, of course, you're born into this life, you have your karma, your parents were brought up another way and stuff like that. But how can we use the tool love today, and how would you define this in someone who's listening, and maybe a parent, maybe daughter or son to someone? how, how can the love be one of the nurturing tools for me in this process?
Okay. So first of all, you did say that our parents, they did the best they can. And that is that's 100%, right? They grew up, and that's so important and I think about this all the time when I talk about forgiveness, right? It's
Mm,
so important to understand where the other person is coming from. Like
mm,
what is going on with
mm,
them now
mm, mm,
to understand why they do the things they
mm,
do.
mm.
So,
Oh, so important.
and so my mom was born in 1941 and my dad
Mm,
was born in 1938. This was like World War II,
mm, mm,
right? So I think their parents it was like food on the table,
mm,
work hard,
mm,
happy that we're not being bombed by the Germans.
mm.
Right? Even though Sweden was neutral, we were greatly affected by.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it was the all of Europe was in total disarray. So you're not going to be like if it's survival every day, you're not going to be thinking about feelings, right?
No,
you're gonna
no.
suck it up.
Yeah. You're thinking,
If
oh,
you're
what do I need what's my next step to survive? What like you
Yeah,
becoming,
yeah.
maybe,
So
yeah.
it's basically, I'm sure that it was a common thing just to be like, no, no, we can't complain because it's so. I think with my dad, especially, I had a moment where I was new in sobriety and I had horrible depression, especially like year 2. Like literally, I was suicidal. It was awful. You know, I would like curl up in a ball and cry in the corner, and just it would never end. I was hysterically crying for hours on end. And I had a psychiatrist that she wasn't a therapist, but she was the one who gave me medicine to get better.
Mm.
And she said to me, she's like, you know, because I was complaining about my dad. I don't know what was going on, but she said, you know, you just have to accept him for who he is. He did the best he could. And I swear to God, like in that moment, I was like, oh, okay. If for some reason, love was more important than my resentments, right? But this is like, could be not a great example because this is my dad. So of course I love him unconditionally. All the things that I felt like he might have done right or wrong in that moment, they were let go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's an example that's like, what, you know, but I think I was able to, like, in a short spur of moment, see his plight, his pain, and just sort of like, well, I'm gonna love him unconditionally because he struggled too. And I remember also, like, when he was sick, and he would have these home workers that came to his house in Sweden. They have something called hemtjänst, which is like healthcare services that they come and to your house throughout the day and help you with stuff. And he didn't like the person that came that day. And and he was like frozen in his face with this really grumpy look. And he wasn't saying anything. But I looked at my dad and I was like, you don't like this guy, do you? And he was like, little shake of the head. And I went over to the guy. I'm like, it's okay. We got this. You can leave now. But, you know, even at that time, like dad he wouldn't say.
No.
You know, he just froze in his face. So love is, I think, for us, a way to sort of put aside, right? And we all have, I mean, we can start with examples like, who is it in our life that we love unconditionally? It's usually our children, right? They can't really do much wrong. I mean, we'll see when they get older for us, if somebody like steals a car or something. but we at least as mothers, there's nothing that they can do that we can't forgive.
No.
Right. And then for a lot of people, it's their dog. Or an animal, you know, where we feel unconditionally loved by them. So in return, we love them unconditionally. So like, you're never going to be mad at your dog for 2 days because they did something.
But let's stay here because this is interesting. Now you mention the unconditional love to an animal, and they are present in the moment. They're always there, happy to see you.
Yeah.
And even unconsciously, you love them you love them unconditionally.
Yeah.
But that, because when you mention this, I get a sensation of space, because I relate to my relationship to my dog, of course. But I get a relationship of space, pure acceptance. How wonderful it would be. I have no expectations. How wonderful it would be if I could copy paste that on my husband, or you know, when I'm in or you know, even with my children. But I love them unconditionally. But you know, sometimes there comes some bumps on the road, right? But I think it's so again, the learning we can do by having an animal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard, right? With the close family, you live in the same space, you're tired. Sometimes people are hungry and tired at the same time. Somebody says something mean, and that's going to trigger you, and you're unconscious because something your dad said when you were, I mean, it's a shit show, right? But I think that, like, deep down, we all have it. right? And if we decide that, let me try this baby steps, right?
Mm,
So like I think about this all the time. Like if my husband snaps at me, we
mm,
talked about this before.
mm,
I always go, okay, what's going on right
mm,
now with him?
mm, mm,
And also I try hard not to react too much. Like
mm,
unless
mm,
something really
mm,
big is going
mm,
on, then I'm like, screw
mm,
you, motherfucker.
mm,
But 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 I really try to go like, okay, how can I do the same thing as when my child needs comfort?
mm.
I can be, well, what did I write down here? Comforting, listening, and being present. It's
Being
the
present, yeah.
same. And that's my goal in reaction to others too.
Mm.
I Because I want to learn how to unconditionally love them. So it, like, again, like if somebody said, like my
So
husband
it's a
said something to me,
training. You would say that unconditional love could be a training.
I definitely think that it could be.
Mm.
It's like take an example out of your ordinary life where you actually feel it.
Well,
And
okay,
then
I will come with some yesterday.
examples.
Yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
but no, and I need your guidance in it. But yesterday I came home and I had been out working the whole day. I came
Mhm.
home around 6:15. Uh, I was supposed to take my daughter to the horseback riding. Mm, my husband hadn't prepared any dinner because he wanted to eat later, and we haven't really talked about who was doing what, but I had expected him to make dinner and also take Holly to the stable, and then I could just go and pick up Holly. And if I would have told him all this, that would be in a big explosion, and that moment. So I don't say anything, but I could feel that affected me the whole evening, of
Yeah.
and of course when I went to bed and I did my self-reflection and I'm tapping into what was, what made me feel like this. I can see that, okay, we need to communicate uh, a little bit clearer, but it was not that much love in that moment.
Well, I don't think that really, that like the underlying sense of love has nothing to do with these little
No,
situations, right?
no,
You're married and this
yeah,
happens, right?
yeah,
You have expectations. And the thing is that like whatever happens at night
yeah,
when you've both worked all day doesn't
yeah,
really count because
no,
everybody's in
okay.
a bad mood. You're
Mm,
tired, you're hungry.
mm, mm.
Tired and hungry. Here we
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
just like if you can say, okay, well, he came home and he's been outside working all day too,
Mhm,
and he's tired and hungry. But
mm,
he doesn't know,
mm,
he has no idea that you're
mm.
expecting him to do X, Y, Z, right? So
So you're so right. Yeah, yeah.
you're basically, he's feeling the same way as you're feeling,
Mm,
right? He's like, well,
yeah, yeah,
why didn't she prepare dinner?
yeah, yeah.
So I think it's like James and I literally for, 15 years ago when Anna was little, so she's almost 15, my oldest daughter, and we decided to not talk about anything serious, like planning or dates or anything like that was important that had happened during the day, like at around from dinner time and later.
And
Because every single fight we had was at night, right? Because we would talk about something and then
mm,
somebody would get triggered. And so once we started that rule, okay, if we have something that we need to talk about that's important, let's do it like, you know, at
yeah,
10 a.m.
yeah,
the
yeah,
next day.
yeah.
Let's like, call me from work at like 12 and we can talk through this thing. And now we have like literally like 90% less fights because we never talk about
Mm,
anything. So it's almost for me like, I think about everybody's cranky at night.
mm,
Everybody had a long day.
mm,
You're always more irritated.
mm,
And if you could just walk through that with awareness, I
mm,
am irritated because
mm,
my day was long and I'm hungry and I want
mm,
somebody else to cook dinner because it's
mm,
really boring to cook dinner after a
mm,
long day.
mm.
Just the awareness and non-reactivity. Then you can walk through it. And the next time, maybe the awareness that you had on that will shift a little bit so that you can preempt it. You're like, if I don't put A, B, C together before I get home at 6:15, I'm going to be irritated and grumpy. Like, how can I preempt this? And that all, I guess that all comes from a place of love. Like, how can you?
And all, because it's also self-love, right? Because
it's like taking care of yourself, but also taking care of, dinner is like one of those funny subject matter because it's a pain in the ass, right? Dishes, dinner, pain in the ass. But I feel like, and I haven't been good at this at all, but in the last few years, I really try to plan ahead. Like, I'm not one of those people who sits on Sunday and like has a recipe for every day, and I have it. But I try to like think about it early in the day.
Yeah.
So that I don't end up in that situation.
But that's what I decided yesterday. That's what I learned from it. I said, I'm not gonna push this on anyone else. Like from next week, I'm doing a planning. Of not like new recipe every day, but I need to, look over the week and take the responsibility for exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And that might change your entire week. Like, cause it's almost like I have this joke. It's like, a man, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Right. And I'm not a cook. Right. But it's nice. It's a way to show love. Something like that is love to a partner, like having something like that taken care of. It's not meaning that you're doing like standing for hours chopping vegetables, but like just going, let's have fish on Thursday, or like or let's go down to the little sushi place on Friday. And they feel it's a part of devotion. It's being devoted to your family and showing them unconditional love. Like, food is so basic, but makes everybody feel like we're thinking about them. And then they're gonna be like, oh, I feel taken care of. Like, again, it might be in the subconscious, but I feel like that's a basic sort of like parental caregiving that shows love. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh God.
No. Oh God. I'm blown away. No, but I think it's so. No, but I'm just thinking of you have it also on the website, Sally Kempton's the meditation book of love, right?
Yeah, it's called Meditation for the Love of It.
Yeah, I think it's such a deep. I mean, all these tools and elements are deep, but I think love is something that I would like to nurture even more. I would like to I want us to both go deeper and wider.
Yeah. I don't know if I told this story yet, but so so we talked about my teens. I felt like I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't feel motivated. I didn't know what was the purpose of it all. And I sort of was like a little hopeless. And I didn't feel like there was no plan. We just moved through life. There was no sort of like, and that's one thing that I love about, at least some of the education system here. So they really try to find what makes your clock tick. They like individual motivation in schools here. Like, what are you good at, and what gives you purpose? And so I didn't know really what that thing was. Like, I asked myself, what is the meaning of life all the time? My first sort of inkling to what that was was sorry, when I went to my first Sally Kempton retreat. And it was January 2006. So I'd been sober for 8 years, right? And again, I know that I knew about this before then in my subconscious, unconscious, but this was the first time that I had an answer, a little bit of an answer. So I got to the retreat. I'd never been to a meditation retreat before. I barely meditated at the time. And here we are meditating for hours every day, and I'm just so uncomfortable. It's just terrible, right? Like it feels like somebody's like
Mm.
massaging me with like a
Ropes.
sandpaper. Yeah, it just was awful. And I don't know how I ended up. I mean, I know that it evolved however it evolved. But after a few days of the meditation, when you meditate a lot, you become almost like a little slap happy, like you're a little drunk, right? It's like,
Mm.
whoa, because you're so present
Mm.
and you're so open that you're sort of flowing with this, like the flow of the universe. I don't know how to describe it, but I was walking from my room and we were in Joshua Tree, it's like moon landscape, right?
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's
And
January. So
where is that in where
Joshua
is it?
Tree is like, I think it's like east, maybe like northeast of LA, definitely east, but I don't know exactly on the map. But it's like,
Yeah.
a few hours east of Los Angeles
Mm.
in the desert, high desert. So I'm walking from my room and I'm like feeling a little drunk and like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, because we've been meditating and I'm all of a sudden open, my
Mm.
heart is open.
Mm.
And I just have this thought. I'm like, oh, it's about love.
Mm.
Life is about love.
Mm.
And right at the same moment, Sally comes walking. And now I'm getting all chucked up just thinking about the beauty of this.
Yeah.
Sally comes walking towards me. Of course, when I'm
Of
having this
course.
big epiphany.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, Sally, it's all about love. And she's like, yeah, sweetie, it's all about love. And that was my first sort of answer.
Mm.
You know,
Wow, I get
life.
this. This is
Yeah.
wonderful.
So life is about love. Okay. And I knew what it felt. I knew already then that it was about, I had felt that the completely free, unconditional, no restrictive love I had felt for Annabelle, the horse,
Mm.
when I was
Mm.
little.
Mm.
And
I remember.
I knew she felt that way about me. I mean, she's a horse, so they love unconditionally. But so,
Oh, I
that
get
is
all.
so how do you bring that love back to the routine of the daily
Yeah.
life? Yeah. And that's one of the things that you can do, right? Having a plan for dinner is love.
So simple. So simple. But that's. I mean, no, yeah. I got very touched about your story there, actually.
Yeah. I've learned a lot about devotion, bhakti yoga, from being, well, what are you looking through now? Your books. Oh yeah. Such a great book.
I
Yeah.
want to show the book that you talked about.
Yeah. Sally Kempton, Meditation for the Love of It.
But you will write that too, right down in the.
Yeah. And the thing with that book, which is so great, is that that's the idea, right? When you meditate, you can find that space of love, because the space of love that like encompasses, and the energy that is around us is there, but it's hidden by our mind chatter.
Yeah.
So it's like that nurturing energy is what holds us, right? And through meditation, we can access it, because we let go of our mind chatter and our thoughts that block us from seeing that energy. So,
Do you have a
and when you,
meditate that you would suggest, like something that sounds so wonderful when you explain it, but for someone
yeah,
who's maybe listening for the first time, or someone that's pretty new to meditation, I mean, you're selling it a little bit like a big box with candy, and I just want to eat that candy.
you want
I want to have a taste of that too.
it,
My addiction. I come,
you
give
want
it
it
to
now.
me. I
Give
want
it
it
to me
now.
now.
Give
Yeah,
it to me now. Give me the fix. No,
you know, but
if they,
I would say, the easiest way to do this, and actually, I can teach meditation, and I have a sort of a method that I use, But what I meditate myself, and this is what I would recommend if you're just sort of like when you, and we talked about this a few episodes back, when you come home and you're irritated, you're breathing through your nose, right? And if you do that consciously, things will shift. And if you want to try meditation, I would say you find a spot where it's completely quiet, and it has to be the same time every day. That is my biggest recommendation. If it's just any time, then it's never going to happen. So let's say you want to start with 1 minute, which is what I started with, and 1 minute in the morning, 1 minute in the evening, maybe just 1 minute. You find a place somewhere that isn't next to the TV or a computer. That's the big thing. I see people like meditating with like the big screen TV next to them. I'm like, no. And that's what you can do. You just breathe through your nose and you feel the air coming in and coming out. And literally you can feel the air coming in, and you feel the air coming into the back of your throat, and you feel the air, and then you follow the breath in and out of your nose, just the feeling. Because if you focus on the feeling of the breath in the nostrils, feeling the breath coming in and out of the nostrils, you can notice that in 1 second, you're present. So that's where you can access.
But could I also put, but back to the love. If I now think that I'm gonna follow the breath like you were doing, or guiding us, so can I? This is a question. If I put, I'm breathing in love, or the space of love, and I'm breathing out the space of love, would that even deepen the connection to my true space of love?
I think personally, for me, no, because those are words, right? Those words that you're using, I'm breathing in love, I'm breathing out love. Maybe it works for people, but for me, I always try to meditate from a place of no words. So if you're using words, I mean, I love mantra. Don't get me wrong. Mantra is the best.
It's also. I'm asking because it's one of your tools.
But I feel like if you're gonna do a quick one, and you have to use words, then do. Because for some people you have to, because you have to have something to focus on. But I think with a quick nose in and out, and you just try to tap into the space that is actually beyond those words. Right? There's a place that exists before you say the word, and there's a place that exists when the words end, and those are the open spaces that you can. It's like a portal into the space that's beyond the mind and the words. So it's about, and I think if this is too out there, use the thing that Louise said. Breathe in love, breathe out love. But it's very
No, but I asked because I know you have Tantra as one of the tools, and I know that
mantra, not Tantra, mantra.
No, I said mantra.
Okay,
I said mantra.
I'm like,
I said mantra. I said mantra. I do my meditation, my Buddhist meditation, which is repeating the words out loudly. And I know that even when teaching yoga, some people put the intention.
Intention is great. I love intention.
And you can even breathe in the intention and repeat it silently in your mind, and you can work with it. That's why I'm asking. So but I got it.
So I would say we're, just so you know, we're almost at an hour. So but I want to say a couple of things. If you want to do something simple, just breathe through the nose for a minute, right? If you feel like you need something, like you're talking about love, like breathing in love, breathing out love. And you can even, I mean, for me, if I do this meditation, or actually teach this meditation where you imagine the face of somebody that loves you unconditionally. A grandmother, your dog, your baby. I often say, sometimes it's not great to use a parent because there's a lot of stuff sometimes that is triggering there. So use like somebody that you felt like it was a clean slate with, right? And you
Can
can
I
do
just,
that.
yeah, but
Mhm.
what about, but the first thought is, what about if I don't have anyone that I feel love me unconditionally? Can I visualize how that would feel if I had that? I'm
Yes.
just, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
of
just,
course. But
yeah.
I think that you know, it also can be the ocean.
Nice, the nature.
But I think, I mean, it feels like everybody's got, no, maybe I'm wrong, you know, but I use like the dog's face, you know, or, but
A goldfish.
let's just, yeah, goldfish. But just to say something quick about mantra. Okay.
But we're going to
So
tap into mantra next time. So you just
yes,
can just say
yes,
quick now,
yeah.
but
But
because
I have to say something important about it before we end. But mantras, and especially the one that you're using in the Buddhist tradition, I mean, that mantra has been chanted for years and years and millennia, right? And there's every day on the planet people chanting that same mantra, right? And that is what gives it so much power. I can't remember the name for it now, but I think it's called matrika. That's like the Hindu word of saying, you know, there's God or the universal energy, the self, whatever you want to call it, is in those words that you're chanting. Every single syllable has power, right? And I mean, I have two mantras that I chant. They're both Hindu mantras, and they've also been chanted year after year by millions and millions of people. So there's something about tapping into that energy that is the thing that the mantra does. And for me, mantra like completely takes away all the mind chatter and like that, right? But when you're talking about something like I'm breathing in love, breathing out love, that's just something that you're using right now. It doesn't have the same powerful effect as a traditional mantra, right? But it's better than nothing.
It's better, yeah.
And I mean, so it's like, so in that vein, I think it's better with an image, but mantras are powerful because of their incredible, the history and the usage and the actual energy inside the syllables and the words.
Love it. I'm looking forward to when we're going to tap into that also.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert in mantra. I used it during COVID a lot because I was outside and I had my beads and I would do, but it was a game changer and it helped me clear my mind, you know, and that's when I sort of started getting familiar with it. But not everybody wants to sit around repeating like,
no,
Sanskrit words.
But when I asked you, like you were saying, oh, I'm breathing in love, I was also thinking of, you know,
the feeling.
Yeah, the feeling, but also the words are energy, and this is supposed, you know, that has an effect. So, but, you know, especially what he mentioned in his book, David Hawkins.
David Hawkins, yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna step out in this world today with so much love towards myself.
Yeah. And your husband.
And to my husband and to my best friend Pernilla.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. Right now I'm looking out over the ocean. I'm actually looking over to Sweden. It's a little hole in my window.
Yeah, nice.
It's very nice.
And then you're going to plan dinner.
And then I'm going to plan dinner. Yeah, I'm going to plan dinner. Yeah. I'm going to plan dinner. That's going to be so everybody's listening to this, please let us plan dinner tonight and do it with love.
Okay, baby. I love you.
I love you so much. This is unconditional love. So many times when we've been fighting on the toilet for the drugs, and now we're sitting here. She always took more than I did. So.
Oh God.
I
love you.
Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for joining us. Please, thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.